why don't we start with something I don't really talk about a lot these days, and that is League of Legends. I don't really talk a lot about League of Legends because ultimately it's completely pointless to talk about it because my content can't go on the subreddit. The community are by and large utter morons anyway. I mean, they've got better. They understand at least investigative journalism now, but what they haven't grasped is this idea that industry insiders are privy to information that they're not. The average Redditor is a very dumb beast. And so I couldn't help but notice this came to a terrible head the other day regarding some reporting from Bloop over at .esports. Now, I'll show you the story because I always like to credit the work. And I think that's obviously important. So this is the September 28th report on .esports that loves a pop-up from Pablo Suarez, a.k.a. Bloop. And he's a young Spanish investigative journalist that's done, lots of roster moves. He's kind of at the start of his career in that sense. Basically, he's kind of like, as we've seen, people who start in roster moves, they generally go on to bigger and better things and deeper types of investigations and leveraging their source network to uncover more important stuff. This one is certainly a big feather in his cap, even as just roster move reporting goes, and that is that Rekkles and G2 are going to part ways. And of course, this is, a huge story because this was meant to be the big power move to G2 that was going to bring them, back to the summit of their powers. And it hasn't worked out like that at all. And apparently there's been some friction, some interpersonal stuff. And they're now going to be holding open tryouts to replace him. Now, obviously, Rekkles is a tenured player, a legendary player, has a huge fan base. And so, yeah, this is a big deal. And, the reporting, it's a roster move. It says G2 Esports AD Carry will not return to the League of Legends team next year. Sources familiar with the decision told .esports. G2 is now in the process of selling his contract, which ends in November 2023. Over the past couple of weeks, G2 has informed its players, staff, and others close to its league squad about his imminent departure, sources said. The relationship between G2 and Rekkles is frayed after a season that saw the European dynasty fail. I'm saying dynasty. I shouldn't do that. I'm not American. Dynasty. It's a fucking dynasty, guys. The relationship between G2 and Rekkles is frayed after a season that saw the European dynasty fail to earn a spot in the World Championships for the first time since it qualified for the continent's top league. Rekkles was set to attend the 2021 World Championship Group Draw show on September 22nd to represent G2 as a special guest, but at the last minute, and as a result of tense negotiations between the two, the ADC didn't participate, according to sources. Instead, G2 arranged for jungler Jankos to replace him. And so, with the relationship between Rekkles and G2 set to end, Team Vitality is one of the teams that's expressed interest in the star AD carry, according to sources. At first, G2 wasn't willing to talk to other orgs while it was deciding the future of Rekkles, but after choosing to go in a different direction for next season, G2 was open to discuss the transfer of the 25-year-old. So, it's a roster move. It's a big roster move. Obviously, I know G2 fans probably look back at the whole Perks thing and how that played out, and are like, fucking hell. If only things hadn't have gone the way they did. But Carlos, as we know, that's Ocelot, formerly Ocelot. I guess he just is G2 Carlos now, isn't he? He's a shrewd guy, right? He knows, G2 were one of the best teams in the world. They obviously were the best team in Europe for a long period of time. They have had an embarrassment of riches when it comes to the squad. So I think it's fair to say Carlos knows what he's doing, and that this move certainly seems to be one that is going to work out in the long term. In fact, I think it's pretty admirable that, we ripped the Band-Aid off. It's not working. We could try and ride this out at 2023, but we're not going to. We're going to basically pitch to other orgs to take this player off our books and take on his contract and hopefully use the money we generate from that to get a suitable replacement, or again, of similar, well, obviously better ability and a better suit for the team. Now, all of that just seems business as usual to me, guys. Like, I didn't expect this story when I saw it come tumbling across my timeline. I didn't expect this to generate a lot of drama, because it's just, business as usual. But my, oh my, did this story generate drama. And to really get into the drama, we have to go to where all the great minds meet and discuss things. And that's obviously over on Reddit, particularly the League of Legends subreddit, where so many intelligent people have gathered down the years. Now, when you see 2,413 comments, obviously this is one of the biggest roster moves that's going to happen, over the course of the year. It's one of the biggest stories ahead of the new season of League. So obviously, yeah, you're going to get lots of comments. But the sheer volume of comments that showed to me that the average League of Legends fan still doesn't understand what sports are is stupefying. Just to prepare you for what you're about to see, and you're going to be stunned, because you are my incredible boomer audience of intelligent media students that understand journalism and sports and other incredibly highbrow concepts like that. What you're about to see is effectively a window into a dimension populated entirely by, for want of a better phrase, dribbling cunts, because they seem to think Carlos has some obligation to the European region, to other teams in Europe, to the fans ahead of Worlds, not G2 fans, just League fans as a broad concept. In fact, what is a relatively routine move of a GM doing something that is right for his team, predicated, as we later found out, on the player's behest, has seen him hit with just unequivocal hatred. And I don't know how many of the comments have been deleted since I saw it on the 28th, because obviously it's been a few days now. But what I saw was outrageous. I mean, so hopefully they're still in there. If not, I might be able to find a few. But when we scroll through, understand all Carlos has done is, well, I mean, not even anything at this stage, but is effectively committed to selling a star player to whatever team is going to offer the best deal for G2, which Carlos is the owner of G2. Carlos runs G2. Seems to me Carlos's first loyalties should indeed be to G2, not in the eyes of the League of Legends fans. Somebody up here said, even as a G2 fan, it's getting hard to defend the treatment of the League players. Hopefully Rekkles lands on his feet, because he was still insane, just not right for G2, I guess. So immediately we're off to the races with an absurd premise, and that is that somehow G2 haven't treated Rekkles correctly. I mean, you joined a team on what I understand to be a very nice fat contract. You are in a team. You have a job to do. It didn't work. G2 have been below par for a while. The other players on the roster, players that Carlos has worked with for a long time, have said, listen, it's not working with Rekkles. We thought it might. It isn't. And Carlos has gone, okay, players that I have a nice working relationship with and respect, who have represented G2 admirably down the years. You're right. I guess it is kind of a dead man's shoe situation. Last one in, first one out. And it will be inconvenient and we'll get a lot of shit, but we're going to do it. And also, we're not just going to bench him and let him lose one of his last true peak playing years. We're actually going to try and find a home for him in a mutually beneficial deal. Now, this guy with G2 flair and saying he's a G2 fan frames this as mistreatment. Incredible scenes. I was a fan of G2. I love Yankos and Caps, but now for the good of the LEC, the org needs to implode next season. That is, so was a fan of G2, has bailed on being a fan of G2. Only like G2 because of 2 players on the roster of G2. And now for the good of the entire league, what's beneficial is that one of the most successful and best run orgs is that G2 must implode. It is just simply for the good of the league. Doesn't explain how that concept works. Someone asks, is anyone in League actually a fan of an org instead of the players? A hilarious question if you've never seen the brain-dead chants of TSM, who, as far as I can tell, the only requirement to be on a TSM roster is you have to have a mental block that guarantees you fail at Worlds and preferably be under 90 IQ. You know, those TSM fans, they seem to like TSM first and foremost, don't they? But no, there's never been a fan of an org in League. Oh, sorry, I missed out this as well. I support G2 because of the players, but the org really is rotten. Now, to that concept of rotten, because I'm always honest, and I keep it real, and I don't care who my friends are, and if they do bad things, I will say, those are bad things that you have gone and done, mate. So, G2, why are they rotten? Well, okay, things we know, and things I know, because I've reported on these things, and you will notice I've reported on these things, and yet still maintain a healthy relationship with G2 and Carlos. It's incredible, isn't it? It's almost as if he is the type of guy that will even take the criticism, rather than, as we're about to see, a shit human being, which is the next framing. His sins, as far as I can tell, are the public dispute he had, I think it was in 2017-2018, with LS over coaching, where I think he intimated that LS had some, he sort of mocked him for having some mental health problems or something along those lines in now deleted tweets, for which he has apologised profusely, and I understand that paid dispute was also settled. The other sin, as far as I can tell from G2 and Carlos, is that they just don't really give a fuck about poaching laws. And we know that they love to have a tamper, don't they? And the bottom line is, I hate to break it to you, anyone who supports any of these orgs, you're in for a bad time if the hill you want to die on is tampering. Why? Because they're all doing it. They're all doing it. You have to remember, particularly if you're an NA League of Legends fan, the great cartel of the holy trinity of NA esports owners literally used their relationship with Riot and knowledge about players' contracts and visas to deliberately fuck over Echo Fox and Rick Fox, all under the guise of friendship. So, poaching, probably the least of the things you should be worrying about, really, when that kind of, corporate sabotage is just occurring out in the open and no one really cares because, TSM, right? Anyway, back into the nightmare. We can scroll down a bit here. Super fast, wasn't it? Jankos tweeted about having planned to stream and now having to go to Berlin, and Rekkles had a cryptic tweet about what might have been, sat in front of what looked like a makeup station, possibly from a rehearsal session. It must have been G2 telling him he couldn't talk to Vitality or something. It is super depressing that even one of the biggest names in the EU can be held hostage by the team. He should probably have joined a talent management company earlier for contract negotiations. I hope new players are watching and learning from this and perks. Now, hostage is not the term I would use. There are certainly situations where that has occurred in esports, right? I've certainly seen that. Hostage isn't, you have signed a contract. The way the league operations work is we have a say in where you go, and we are essentially now going to sell you to the highest bidder, and we are not obligated to sell to anyone we don't want to. That's not being held hostage. Being held hostage would literally be being benched and some horrific clause in your contract. That means you can't fight back at being benched. Oh, and you lose 70% of your salary while being benched. Funnily enough, those contracts do exist in other esports. I've certainly seen them in CSGO. So, how bizarre. You'll see strong uptake for being held hostage. Maybe him holding Rekkles hostage to force him to leave EU, same as he did with Perks. That could sour things really quickly, to be told, hey, I'm either ending your career, sending you to NA, or ending your career by putting you in contract jail here. So, again, a few things. I doubt very much, by the way, an org is ever going to go ahead with a deal that Rekkles isn't going to want to move to the team. It doesn't really work like that. Sure, the org is definitely holding the cards in terms of they can sell to who they want. But if an org comes and says, yeah, we'd like to buy Rekkles, and Rekkles goes, I'd never play for you, I'd rather just pretend I was injured, and they go, oh well, okay, no bother. That deal's not going ahead. No one's gonna invest in a player that doesn't want to play for the team. Now he might have to be on a team he'd rather not be, but that's just how it works in sports. I mean, to give you an example, look at the number of times that teams have developed talent that are really good, but not good enough to break into the first team, or the manager's made an error and hasn't really judged their value. Say, for example, Lukaku at Chelsea. You're not going to then sell that player that you value straight out the gate, to a rival. He had to go to Man United via way of Everton, right? And that's because essentially don't want to develop talent for your rivals in a league. Because if you give them that extra 5-10% that the player, for whatever reason, you can't get out of the player in your squad, you've just gifted them the trophy. All the money in the world won't change that. It just makes sense to, if Rekkles is happy with the North American move, and trust me, he'll make more money playing for a North American team. He'll get more status playing for a North American team. His stream will blow up even more. His followers will blow up more. Might even get a cut of the merch sales or whatever. He'll be welcomed as a conquering, emperor in that region. But if there is no other European region, which, by the way, these are all assumptions, and as we'll see, later get corrected anyway, that, Carlos can sell who he wants to. Once you sign that contract, you essentially say, I dedicate my labour to you for X amount of time, and in many ways, I have become an asset for the squad, and I understand I can be sold, and I understand that I might not have a say in where I end up. That simple. If I was Rekkles, I would probably just tell him, meaning Carlos, to go fuck himself and pay me for the rest of the contract while Carlos can enjoy paying me plus their new AD carry. Rekkles is good enough. He can grind a year of solo queue and still be picked up by top EU teams afterwards. Carlos can't force him to go to NA. I'm sure the real issue is that Rekkles wants to play. And as long as he wants to play, G2 holds all the cards. Now remember, of course, if G2 were a big, bad, spiteful organisation and this was about hurting Rekkles' future and his feelings, and it was done out of, a vindictive, spiteful move by evil Carlos, what he would do here is he would take the financial hit and just bench him. That's that. You literally can't do anything then. He could bench him, and I'm sure he's got a clause in his contract that says, you will now stream for the org until the end of 2023. And he'll just be there, with a G2 logo popping up like my SteelSeries logo down there, and he'll just be dead inside, just single tear down his face. Yeah, my support is trash. By the way, be sure to get your G2 merch. He could literally do that to him anytime he wants. It's in the contract, so I don't understand how fucking Carlos is evil when he's actually, effectively, leveraging his contacts and using G2 to get him out of the org and get him somewhere else. I agree with you. This is in reply to the guy I would tell Carlos, the guy that literally owns me, to go fuck himself. Yes. I agree with you. Yeah, this is a great strategy. Or tell Carlos the only place you'll agree to be sold is Vitality or BDS, assuming Rekkles wants to stay in EU. Carlos can't even pretend, the EU orgs are too poor to pay a fair price. BDS and Vitality both should be absolutely loaded. Next. Exactly. Exactly. This fantasy where Rekkles comes into the office and he goes, Carlos, mate, you thought you were going to sell me to NA? Well, fuck you. Fuck you. In fact, fuck you. You're paying me for the remainder of my contract, and I'm going to go where the fuck I want. People think this is like a plausible scenario, that could happen just because, like, Rekkles is good or something, you know. Exactly. People are acting like Rekkles has no agency in this. But I doubt G2 want to keep paying him a full salary to play solo queue in preparation for joining another team when his contract expires. Rekkles seem to only care about one thing nowadays, and that's winning Worlds, which is never going to happen on an NA team. With that goal in mind, staying in EU no matter what, unless he can go to a good team in Korea or China, seems like his best option long term, even if it's risky short term. And then someone chips in, he's hugely popular in China. Maybe an LPL team would try him. It's fine if Carlos ships him off to China, you understand? If Carlos went, yeah, I've got a Chinese team that'll take it. Bye. Everyone's like, he's joining China, he could win Worlds. As if that's all right, you know? This is another... Carlos is a shit owner. Pretty simple. This guy's figured it out. Right. G2 is hands down one of the most successful esports organizations across the board in the world. And if you remember, back when it used to be Gamers 2, it was punching above its weight in some areas, wasn't it? But it still wasn't like this. And then it rebranded. And he took lessons from smart people in the industry. They do great scouting. They have a great coach infrastructure. And now they are not only competitively relevant in every major esport, they also have some of the best merchandising. They also have some of the best social media presence. They also have millions of fans. They're nominated for Esports Org of the Year award every year. But what you fail to understand is that is all a smokescreen. That is all a smokescreen. And the fact that that's been done in a relatively short lifespan as well, by the way. You're probably talking, 2014, 2015? You know, they're not some SK, they're not some fanatic. But anyway, no, what has happened there is Carlos is a shit owner. Then, there it is, didn't he try to scam LS one time? It's a pay dispute. I think LS was in the right, and that's why I reported it. Scam? I mean, if any pay dispute's a scam, fair enough. Just love this. Any rioter, please buff Azir. What are you doing in this thread, mate? What are you even doing here? Like, you mad cunt. Oh, fuck's sake. Like, rioters, please. Buff Azir, please. Please buff him. This is a tweet that was heavily upvoted by the original reporter who said, one of the main reasons of the team and the player parting ways is the fact that both Jankos and Caps didn't want to play with Rekkles another year, and that's according to multiple close sources to the team. Caps has renewed, Jankos is expected to renew, so Rekkles has no place at the org anymore. So again, you can... This came out after the report, after everyone, it's Carlos, evil Carlos. And now it's like, well, what can he do? Because if you've got two players who said, we're not playing with that dude anymore, and they've renewed for your org, you've got to get rid of the guy they don't want to play with, or you're betraying them. This, sign with G2, and there is a decent chance you'll be shipped off to America. Not a bad deal, is it? It's a good short-term business model for G2. Carlos might be a total piece of shit without conscience. Right. Now, guys, just maybe this is hyperbole. I don't know. I mean, you know, I've been around. Maybe I'm jaded and silly, but like a total right for not wanting. And again, this is all theorized, right? Because he even tweeted out like nothing's even happened yet, right? No one's talked to anybody yet, and a total piece of shit. Not like, oh, he's shit, or he's an arsehole, or he's a cunt, or a bell end. A total piece of shit. Made up of shit on a cellular level. Every cell in his body, shit. Actual shit. Excrement. Because he's trying to run his business. And without conscience, Carlos, notoriously without conscience, notorious psychopath. Carlos, you know, just goes to work, speeding, drinking whiskey, no thought for human welfare at all, just without conscience. Holy shit. Unbelievable. But that's kind of a requirement to be a successful businessman. Good. I'm happy all of his teams have been eating shit lately. Well, if they're all eating shit, Carlos better watch out, as he is a total piece of shit. A total piece of shit. He is made of shit. Genetically, he is the same as shit. Somebody chimes in, obviously a future successful esports org runner here. Yeah, I'm not sure making a few million while tanking your reputation is the smart move. Spoiler, dickhead. The mills are the smart move. Unquestionably, in this economy especially, the mills are the smart... Reputation what? With some dickheads on Reddit? Yep, you're tanking your reputation. What does that get me, exactly? Well, we'll say nice things about you when you do things. Brilliant, great. What's the monetization model for that? Oh, there isn't any. Right, okay. I'll take the fucking mills, thank you. Someone elucidates. It's not about his reputation. Not his reputation. It's about G2's. Prior to this, they had the best reputation for winning. Prior to this, this incident of Rekkles is leaving the team. Prior to this, they had the best reputation for winning of any team in EU. Players were more or less all gunning for a spot because they knew it meant their best chance at a career-defining run. And after showing their behind-the-scenes is bad enough to completely fail with arguably the most stacked team on paper Europe has ever seen, players are going to start to think twice about an offer from G2. Not to mention that now, with both Perks and Rekkles getting fucked over by G2 players, or getting fucked over by G2, my dude, players have yet another very good reason to stay away. Yeah, G2 has had a really bad reputation before their winning streak. G2 vacations come to mind with the whole hybrid Emperor mess. You just need to win a lot of games, though, for people to forget shit like that. This is an interesting one because they go, oh, Team Liquid Steve seems to treat players very well, too. It's not a requirement for success to always default to fucking over your employees. Again, it just shows how new some of these people are. Because if you go and look up some of the Team Liquid incidents in the past, like how they treated Quaz, however the fuck you pronounce it, and when he had mental health problems and stuff like that. It wasn't always like that over at Team Liquid either. They've had a number of fucking ridiculous stuff. Yeah, and the Alfari thing just happened. Sounds like a pretty bad deal to me, especially since Rekkles has family and a girlfriend in Europe, and he recently built a house in Sweden. Carlos is fucking him over big time if he refuses to let him go to another good LEC team. Imagine an elite-level athlete, a multi-millionaire, someone who can afford to build a house in Sweden, not buy a house in Sweden, build a house in Sweden, and they're the victims if they don't get to move to their preference of team, one that would actively harm the former team they agreed to sign for and play for's chances. That's being fucked over big time. Big time. In sports, when you join a franchise or a team and you move your family there, it is always with the understanding, if things don't work out, you will be moving again very soon. This is a tale as old as time. It's even got its own scene in Moneyball, where the owner is saying, I don't get attached to the players. And he sits down and he runs through it with Jonah Hill's character. And he's going, man, I just moved my family out here and my kid just started school and just made friends. It's like, shut the fuck up. You've been traded. Here's the card. Deal with it. It's sports. But it's especially ridiculous when it's like, yeah, you are just a multi-millionaire. I want to find there was some unbelievable vitriol further down. Here we go. Carlos is an outsider agent sabotaging Europe by buying top-tier EU talent and then selling it to other regions. He's trying to make his team the best, but it's fucked the way he's doing it, buying the best players and then selling the next best overseas. That is literally what you've described there, my friend, is literally the best way to ensure your team is the best. It is literally the 100% guaranteed way to make your team the best. Not just making G2 the best. If this report is true, Carlos cares just as much about making LEC worse. I'll explain this to you. Carlos just doesn't care about the league or the overall strength and depth of the league. Why would he? It's just his job to comparatively be the best team within it. And he needs to make every move as possible to affect that outcome. That's it. That's all there is to it. Carlos doesn't stay awake at night thinking, fucking hell, how can I destabilise this team and shift that talent to there, and what if I can tamper him and then do a fake move and then he leaves, and then, oh God, and if I sell anyone, it must go to NA, but I must be careful, I mustn't make NA too strong, and but just stronger than LEC. None of these thoughts are in his head. Not one. He just goes, what's best for G2? That's it. That's all he thinks about. That's all he thinks about every waking moment. There's no 5D chess. There's no desire to, make the overall quality of the European region worse. That is utter nonsense. That is a fabrication in the mind of a fucking child that doesn't understand how sports works. Instead of elevating the competition, he chooses to eliminate the competition. Why would he ever want to elevate the competition? Why would you ever want? Yes, I do. I want to eliminate the competition. Correct. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yes, I do. Yes. At least someone pointed that out. 2 upvotes for pointing out elevating the competition is mental. This guy goes off on a tangent saying PSG spending money to get the best players so they can compete in the Champions League is bad. This is good because now they're bringing real sports to the table, right? And even though they clearly don't understand how sports works, they're making sports analogies. Brilliant. Let's have a look at this one. Carlos is the Man City and PSG. They merged. I think that's meant to be of league. It says all league, right? But I think it's meant to be of. Solution to everything is money, as well as he's just a harsh businessman. Nightmare. Buying out the best talent from the competition, but not giving it back is smart business. Shitty, but smart. Yes. All those other teams that aren't Man City, what they do is they buy talent, and when it doesn't work, they go, oh, anyone want him on a free? Does anyone want this player that's still really fucking good, but just isn't working in our... Do anyone want him on a free? Anyone? I'm for free, yeah, whatever. Oh, and we'll pay him his contract as well on the way out. Yeah, no bother. Yeah, no bother. Yeah, you have him. Oh, you've won the league, have you? Oh, wicked. Oh, he scored 40 goals, did he? Oh, brilliant. Like, what the fuck are these people talking about? What needs to happen is other orgs need to catch up to him. Yes. Good luck with that. By signing players on 3-year contracts so we stop snooping up players on the end of contracts and flipping them to NA for millions. They need to treat this more like football. Yeah, you've got a good understanding of that. Sadly, it's become more and more business. Like football. You said you said it was good and people needed to treat it more like football, but sadly, the league has become more like football. How do you not hold, right? How can you not hold a coherent thought in your mind? That is insane. That is insane. You get lost like that. Like, your brain is just like a fucking rudderless boat, just swimming through a sea of piss and vinegar and nonsense. And you just there, yeah, I wish they would treat it more like football. Sadly, it's gone the way of football. Like, how does this happen? How is that fucking possible? I just don't understand it. And then... PSG doesn't poach in its own league, though. It absolutely would if the talent was there, wouldn't they, you dickhead? The point is, they want to accrue the best talent. So if the best talent was domestic, they'd bet your bottom dollar. Not only would they poach it if it was in fucking the French league, they would save a fortune as well. And also, you're not including, and I know this, all of the unbelievable fucking French youth that they fucking sign up age 9. Because they're scouting everything. They just want to be the best. They just want to be a dominant force. It's no great mystery as to what their motivations are. They're not thinking, we better poach talent from overseas, because it'd be terrible if we destabilised the league below us and we just won it every year and became essentially Juventus of France. Oh, they fucking love that. They'd love that. And then, yeah, not since Mbappe. Yeah. Oh, so they do poach talent from the league then. Yeah. They're like iconic player. Brilliant. Nailed it, guys. More sports analogies, please. Please do that. Please keep making sports analogies. They are great. I've got to find this. Oh, there was such a great comment. Not letting his ADC talk to vitality. A Carlos classic. Carlos... air quotes, I'd rather make my region weaker than lose anyway, Rodriguez. 305 upvotes for this. 305. People saw this and thought this was clever. He's still a dirty Inter, like back in his league days. That's consistency. Carlos might be quite a nasty person, but he can earn money. I'm almost impressed. You know, in this guy's world, nasty people don't earn money. And those few nasty people that can are somehow displaying an incredible skill set. Not to mention, I can't even get into it. Like, nasty person. What are we basing this on today? Literally, if we go back like 2 years, Carlos is popular. I could pull up some threads. I might just Google one now. I guarantee I could find a thread now. It's like, Carlos is the best. I love Carlos. Yes, we all love Carlos. He's so funny. Look at the meme he posted. I could find one of them right now. Good. G2 should implode. He can't keep destroying competitiveness on Europe. That's in. For the sake of money and get away with it. Just retiring every single player on LEC to NA now? Or what? So what's this happened? 2-3 times? First of all, he can do whatever the fuck he wants, right? Like, I mean, that is patently clear. Second, destroying the competitiveness of Europe for the sake of money and get away with it. That's quite telling, isn't it? Because that presupposes that there should be some form of punishment, shouldn't there? He can't keep getting away with it. So what's the appropriate punishment for a team owner running the business, their business, in the best interests of their business? I don't know. Perhaps somebody could come up with a punishment structure. Like, perhaps if every year they're profitable, the team gets docked points. Let's codify this. And surely the league will be a much more successful place, and Europe will win worlds, and you plebs will all be happy. Why doesn't Vitality just poach a lot until Carlos basically resigns? Seems to work when G2 does it. All right. This guy. Fucking hell. You couldn't be more wrong. What happened to their CS roster? Nico still around? Someone says, yeah, it's Nico versus the world. Amanek is playing terribly. If I recall correctly, they recently went 0-5 in a group they should have gotten out of as well. Not even up to date with, subsequent tournament. Who cares? Just a random patchwork of half-truths. That's Reddit, right? Amanek going up, yeah. Amanek having, like, some pretty fucking stellar games lately. General consensus of the CS subreddit is that, people who actually watch the game. Maybe Nex is the big problem. And we get God Emperor in-game leader Nico. It's going to happen, you'll see. And then, damn. Sucks for Nico. Always liked him. I guess he should have stayed on FaZe. That would have been brilliant, wouldn't it? Yeah, he was loving losing all the fucking time on FaZe. He was loving that. He was fucking loving FaZe so much. Yeah, he should have definitely stayed there where he was earning less money than he does now and had less chances of winning tournaments than he does now. Remember, they had, like, 3 third places and a runner-up finish out of, like, 4 tournaments prior to this, like, mini collapse because they decided to skip a boot camp. Sucks for Nico. Poor Nico. Won't somebody think of the Nico? Yes! Yes, they're still there! The mods still deem this to be reasonable discourse. But, if you ever tweet anything they don't like, they content ban you. Is anyone still surprised Carlos is shipping him to NA? No, because Carlos is a dick and always has been. Right? Downvoted, heavily downvoted. You think he does this because he hates his players? It's business. Other teams are nowhere as despicable, get it in the chat, despicable as he is. Show me your despicables right now. I might have to get another one with a miniature Carlos face. And then underneath, exactly right. Fuck Carlos. He's a parasite. No more than any other team owner, surely. But, no more than anyone else that makes money from esports by running a successful brand in esports. So no, not a parasite then. A parasite, by the way, in general, right? This is the part of the parasite they always miss out. Parasites, it's not symbiosis, is it? The parasite is non-essential to the host, and generally the parasite causes harm to the host. Hopefully not enough to be fatal, but in general, you'd be better off without the parasite. That's why people take ivermectin, I'm told. Because remember, it's a horse dewormer. So, he's not a parasite, objectively not a parasite. A completely inappropriate term. It's still here, look. The guy better stays in Europe, right? I like Rekkles, and I think he better stay in Europe. So I can watch him. No way Carlos is selling Rekkles to EU. And knowing how a piece of shit, remember, total piece of shit, we established that earlier. We've had him under a microscope. We put him on a slide. Carlos, come here a minute. No, no, that'll do. We looked at it. There's nothing else in him. Just shit. Just all shit. I looked long and we did everything we could. Sorry, you know. It was a tragic scene the day he was born. You know, the doctors came out and they said there's some good news and some bad news about your baby boy, Mr. and Mrs. Carlos. The good news is he is healthy. The bad news is he's composed entirely of shit. He's a total piece of shit. It's up to you if you want to take him home. This is mental. And knowing how a piece of shit he is, Rekkles going to receive the perks treatment and be sent to NA, where realistically he won't win Worlds, which, as he stated, is all he wants. I don't give a fuck what... Again, I don't care what players want. Like, what your dreams are. Like, you know, I want you to play well for me, and I want you to be happy here, but I don't care, like, if you're... one day, you know... I want to be a unicorn. I don't care, mate. I don't fucking care. I'm your employer. It's not up to Rekkles. He's stuck in a contract, and Carlos most likely won't want to sell him to another LEC team. Funny how one dickhead can hold top talent hostage from an entire region. Yeah, Carlos has got all the talent on lockdown. Somebody points out he has signed a contract, mate. Right? Seems to be a salient point in the debate. There's this little thing called acting in bad faith, you know. Players sign contracts expecting to play, not expecting to be sold off to retirement camp where they can't be a threat to Carlos's schemes of cowardice. That's not how things work. He signed a good contract just like you did at your job. You can't just not work and think it's your boss's job to find you another cushy job. Isn't G2 stopping Rekkles from obtaining other jobs? Apparently, Vitality was considered and blocked by G2. That doesn't sound very fair from a player perspective. You're weighing your options and then get told now we're not letting Vitality buy out your contract. I get he's got a contract, but stopping him from having options is kind of shitty. Now, again, in the hermetically sealed League of Legends ecosystem, you agree to all of these things up front. You know these things. There's no way a seasoned competitor like he's not some fucking rube, is he? He's not like some, I just got to the big city. I sure do hope I'm gonna like it in the big leagues, Mr. Carlos. You know, he's 26 and he's 25, 26 years old. He's been playing competitive fucking esports for how long? He knows his way around a fucking contract. He knows what the deal is when he signs up for one. And that's right, Mr. Carlos. If you'll certainly let me go to the Yankees if they come. I'm just going to keep ice on my pitching arm and do the best for you, Mr. Carlos. Like, what fucking mad narrative is this? So mental. Please. There it is. There it is. There it is. I don't think Carlos should get away with this. Again, strong uptake for the punishment angle. Okay, I'm strapped in. What do you think should happen, my friend? Sure, We don't have the full picture, but I'm willing to rush to judgment anyway. Brilliant, great. Continue. I'm all in. But his actions show zero interest in player well-being and prosperity. He's not put him in a fucking mad sex dungeon, has he? Fucking well-being. Even Perks himself said that he wanted to stay in EU, and Caps persuaded him to stay in the end, but Carlos sold him either way. LEC should certainly step in with some regulations so this does not happen again. There's a little presupposition there, again. The presupposition is that there are no regulations. In fact, in the hermetically sealed League of Legends ecosystem, across all of their leagues, yes, contracts, this is all certainly within the purview. It has to operate like this to generate the revenue for stakeholders, which include players, includes owners. It's a pretty good system overall. I think what League of Legends has built since they formalized, going all the way back to the LCS in its inception, I think they've done a pretty good job of making it the closest analogy to an existing sports league like an NFL or an NBA, right? And so as a result, there are a ton of regulations around contracts and player movements and transfers. There is literally never going to be a regulation that says, if you are Carlos of G2, a total piece of shit, you are not allowed to sell your players to the highest bidder or the org of your preference, despite that being in the contracts, because it might devalue or weaken a region in the eyes of fans. That is never coming, because that would be fucking madness. That would essentially be like in the NFL, right? If a player wants to be traded while they're still under contract, the league stepped in and compelled the team trade them to whichever franchise the player preferred. There's no way. There's just no way. And they have player unions that weren't started by the company that runs the league. So that will never happen. I'm not sure if Riot can legally do anything, though. If you're under contract, your employer can literally pick and choose where he wants to conduct the business. Realistically, it was bold and somewhat naive for Rekkles to sign a 3-year deal. Yeah, you leave out the part where he didn't even have to be locked in for 3 years. You leave out the part where he got a signing on bonus, probably, to sign for 3 years. With G2 after the whole Perks ordeal, I really don't know much about this. I love it when people start. Because when that sentence comes up your mouth, just stop there. Like, just put the full stop there and that's it. I really don't know much about... Shut the fuck up then, yeah? I think that's a good idea. That would be a good way to live your life. Only talk about things that you have some knowledge of. More than much or more, let's say. If you know much or more about a particular topic, feel free. Go nuts, go ham. Right? But if you don't know much being the entry level, really, to talk about a topic, just shut the fuck up. Just don't go with the opinion. But okay, I really don't know much about this. But doesn't Riot have absolute authority to set its own rules and block a team from competing if they don't follow them, despite all the EU employment rules G2 may be abiding by? I agree. Regarding Rekkles, though, hindsight's 2020. This year has been difficult. As a G2 fan, this is a G2 fan advocating that Riot just block G2 from competing in the league because they're selling a player maybe to North America. Fuck me. Fuck me. I've tried to explain for years how mental esports fans are. That does it. That's the only example I'll ever need. He is a fan of the team and would destroy his own team because his internal preference is a deluded notion of justice for players. I will never clip this. That's all we need. The mind of the esports fan laid bare. No replies, no contesting that outrageous view, no one going, G2 fan, are you fucking sure, mate? You know, I'm a fan of chickens, but working in this factory farm where I just lop the heads off all day, you know, it doesn't seem to be contradictory in any way to me. That's fucking mad. Just so mad. Vote with your wallet. Sadly, this is not easily done and practically impossible to get going. But there is a way to destroy G2. Right, this guy's got it, guys. He's got it. There is a way to destroy them. Like, it's the fucking One Ring. Like, fucking G, there is a way, right? There is. There is but a way. We must smuggle Carlos to Mount Doom, throw him into the fires, where, because he is made entirely of shit, he will dissolve. There is a way to destroy G2. By making the brand undesirable. This'll mean players refuse to join, viewers refuse to watch, and fans refuse to buy things. A typical boycott business. No, it's not that. You haven't even described a boycott, you mad cunt. Have you? Boycotts where you stop buying things. That's it. That's a boycott. You stop buying things or using a product or a service. What you're saying is a smear campaign. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about a controlled smear campaign, and you hope the fact that the smears become fact in the minds of people, so much so, even if Carlos was going, please come back to me, Rekkles, his 10 million a week, please. He would go, nah, your reputation just fucking stinks because of Reddit. That's how you destroy G2. There is a way. There is but one way to destroy G2. Reddit posts. Fuck me. This is great. Surely there must be a clause. Surely there must be a clause. I'm not even laughing at this. I'm laughing at the reply. Surely there must be a clause one could have put in the contract preventing the sale of said contract to someone outside the continent or something. I mean, yes, I guess if we went back in time, right? We could put any clause in the contract we wanted, and like we just fast forward, like it's the butterfly effect, and Carlos goes, and now to sell you to anyone you want. Like, yeah, obviously, time machines are fucking great, guys. Yeah, love them, love that. But then the reply is, I think the player can refuse to sign with another team. The org, helpful, the org, G2, can simply put you on the bench, or, I don't know, fire you. Take this info at your risk, because I know nothing. That's just so... Oh, that's fucking done me. That's just so mental. You're literally explaining how it works, and then you just go, yeah, but I mean, just take this information at risk, because I know fuck all. I've just made it all up. Like, I've just made it all up in my mind. So I'm telling you this, right? But understand, I've made it up in my mind. So just be careful. Just be careful. You know, please don't become a parent. Like, please, like, yeah. Yeah, it's all right if you're playing traffic, cars can't hit you, but don't take that at face value, because I just know nothing, me. Like, I know fuck all, me. That's so mental, like. There's another one. Who the fuck defends Carlos even after this? After this? G2 needs to crash and burn. Dude keeps fucking over the players and the region. No one cares about the region. No one cares about the region. He doesn't have to care about the region. I don't even know who this is aimed at. Who's this guy? I remember him from back in his WoW days. Raging crybaby whenever he lost an arena. One time he harassed my partner because we beat them a couple of times in a row. Some things never change. Shitter back then, shitter now. Is that Carlos? Is that who he's talking about? What is that? Is he talking about Rekkles? I don't even understand. That's upvoted, mate. This is what I mean. Reddit is a machine for ignorance. That's upvoted. People are like, yeah, good point. Yeah, nice one. Yeah. You know, an upvote is like the equivalent of like a quiet ripple of applause in like the House of Commons. Oh, yeah. You know, like, what the fuck? What are you doing if someone says... It's like a complete non sequitur. You have to... Someone has to say something. Someone has to reply. What are you talking about? Why are you bringing that up? Another shit. Human beings make for good businessmen. Honestly, if he didn't pull the biggest high roll in EU League history by getting perks in his challenger team, no one would be talking about his worth as a businessman either. You wouldn't, because you clearly don't understand that the business, his unbelievably successful business, expands beyond the fucking League of Legends roster, you silly sausage. These comments are always great as well. These are like the rubberneckers from the front page or whatever. Right? You always get them. Hi, I'm here from the front page. Out of the loop. Can anyone tell? Like, why do you care? You don't have to go and stare at every fucking car crash. What's happening here? Can I be upset by it in any way? Just get on with your day. Doesn't involve you. But I don't follow the esports scene much. What has this Carlos done? Somebody just said, I don't know what he did for his perception to change in the community. Downvote him! Downvote him! For he is a witch, and we will burn him. There will be none of this talk of fair trials round here. I am the Witchfinder General, and Carlos must burn on this day. Fuck me. Yes, bring torches, yes. I don't know what he's done. I don't know what he's done, but he comes off as an arrogant dickhead. Sound. This is a thread specifically discussing the roster move. There are hundreds of comments about it, and you've just belligerently walked in. I don't even know what the fuck he's done. I never liked him. Always had to rub me the wrong way. Brilliant. Very productive. He is the Reginald of EU. Arrogant and shithead. Not just his head, mate. We've established a medical fact. But excellent owner. This joke is here because I don't like upvotes. He has made shitty human being. He has made shitty... He's not harvesting these players for organs. It's not a fucking RimWorld playthrough, guys. Like, whatever. He has made shitty human being decisions, like letting players go without even telling them, and then realising during Worlds because of Twitter. He has many attempts at poaching. When Riot made sure it wouldn't happen, he then sent his players to poach for him. Caps, Wunder, Sven, Miffy were all poached. He just found the loophole. But there is nothing a little bit of time and a good winning record won't fix. The bottom line is the anti-poaching stuff's effectively unenforceable. It's essentially a gentleman's agreement. All Riot can do, my understanding, unless the rules have changed, is they can fine you if they get you banged to rights. But we all know about the pool party, and we've all heard the legendary stories, and we all know everyone does it. Oh, what? This G2's the only org that's ever fucking poached in fucking the history of League. Grow up. And there we go. Now, chapter isn't even over yet. That was nice, wasn't it? 1 hour of Richard Lewis reading the worst comments from the worst people who profess to understand sports. But, you see, there's more. Because, right, remember, the outrage was stemming from the fact that Carlos had, Carlos was holding him back and not allowing Rekkles to go to Vitality. This was the central premise of all of that hate that I've just read you, right? The central premise of those thousands of comments, shit human being, total piece of shit, we must do something about him, why won't Riot step in, G2, I'm a G2 fan, but they must be stopped from competing. All of that was on the premise, right, that he wasn't letting Rekkles move to Europe. Moments later, the person who released the original report put out a tweet clarifying G2 Esports weren't open to talk about Rekkles with other orgs in the first instance, and this included Vitality, because they were internally addressing the situation. Once his departure from the org was confirmed, G2 was open to talk with all orgs. It wasn't even real! It was never real! The whole thing was just a fabrication in the minds of the diseased! Right? And obviously, guys, because of that, the subsequent Reddit thread about this is going to be just chock-a-block with apologies, isn't it? Obviously. I mean, now that we know that the thing you were angry about didn't happen, right, no, drama. Yeah, let's hope he stays in EU. Yeah. If he leaves EU, I hope he goes to China. Right, okay, still waiting. Thought there would have been an apology for Carlos a little bit further up, all things considered. I'd rather see him go to China. All right, no, okay, now that's okay. He doesn't even have to stay in Europe now. Apparently, China's fine. Any apology? No. Watch Rekkles succeed in China. Okay, yeah, still no apologies for Carlos, right? All right, now here's the real question. Can Carlos block transactions, or is where Rekkles ends up purely decided by the highest bidder? We're back on that bullshit! We've ignored... We're just ignoring it. We're just ignoring that you've been angry about something that wasn't real, and that's like, I have considered all of the evidence, but now the real question. Can the thing we were angry about earlier still happen so we can still be angry? Fucking sort this out! This is a mess! This can't be allowed to exist! This is a fucking joke! Like, and the mods are just like, yeah, well, it's perfectly acceptable that one of the most successful team owners has just been showered in vitriolic hate for something that wasn't even real. It's all fine. We're just going to let that. And when you see comments like that, you should probably be like, yeah, well, it's kind of non-relevant now. Nothing's changed, by the way. He still can deny. That's never going to change. That is a contractual stipulation. That is how the league operates. It is still his decision. If I was him now, oh, fuck me. I would just be like, sorry, Rekkles, I was going to totally let you go to Vitality, but them Reddit threads, fuck them kids, and I would just absolutely contract jail for real. Cry about it now, motherfuckers. Like, that's 100% what I would do. 100% what I would do. But Carlos is a businessman, and so obviously he's not petty like me, and will do what's good for the business. I just can't believe... No apologies. No apologies. No apologies. There are no apologies. There are just not... There's not one. That's... Why are you leaving, cheat? I love people who come to the second report of a breaking story, having not followed the first, and they go, hey, what's up here, guys? Like, mate, it's been a whole day of drama. I haven't got time to fucking bring you up to speed. Hey guys, what's been going on? Leaving G2? Yes, it's been on the front page. Please, can you take some fucking autonomy in your fucking life and just fucking find out things for yourself? Still no apology. Like, good to get the context. Oh, wait, what's this? Carlos said that on Twitter. Yes, a small enclave of sanity. Key thing, he didn't say if TSM offers 4 million and Vitality 500,000 or 1 million, he will ship Rekkles to NA. No, you're right. He should turn down 3.5 million. He should turn it down. Imagine your expectation is the businessman will go, listen, I just need to make it clear, I'm not willing to burn $3.5 million that could be in my pocket. I know that might seem a tad selfish of me. Yes, kind of cringe, creating so much unnecessary drama. Right at the bottom, by the way. This is like the tail end of the thread. There it is. That's the end of the thread. One of the lowest conversation chains is, yeah, it's kind of a bit cringe that this happened. I'm sure someone will push back on that. Come on, don't let me down, Reddit. Nah, they've decided not to argue about it. You let me down, Reddit, in more ways than one. That's Carlos doing nothing at all, just being hated by thousands of people. Doing nothing wrong, just running a business, just having a G2. He's just having a G2, just being G2. And getting called an inhuman piece of shit. It's mental. I just can't. It is one of the stupidest, like, serious, like, the base level of stupidity for this to be a thing is staggering. Even I'm surprised, and I have, like, very low expectations for the average esports fan. But that is mental. That is mental. And none of it, and the fact none of it's real anyway. So I had to talk about that, guys. I couldn't let that one slide, even though it's outside of my wheelhouse.